Hi, my name is Meagan Harrison. I am a group fitness instructor, a sports and conditioning assistant, and a soon-to-be personal trainer at the Wellness and Recreation program at NC State. What I want to talk to you all about today has to do with my proposal about how coaching and cueing can help us build rapport with clients and participants and build a community within group fitness classes. Now, instead of getting into the nitty-gritty of cueing and examples, I first want to go over the 3 styles of learning. So these 3 styles do not only apply to fitness, they apply to being in a classroom, to starting a new job, anything when you're learning something. So these 3 styles are auditory learners, visual learners, and kinesthetic learners. Now, research has shown that we can learn from all 3 of these styles, but we typically have 1 or 2 that best suit us and that we learn best from. So, if you're an auditory learner, you learn best from hearing instructions, from hearing what to do. I personally am an auditory learner, so I have to go to class to hear my professors talk about what we're learning about. I can't just look at the PowerPoints because I don't learn like that. I need to hear the professor speak, and that helps me retain the information better. Now in fitness, this is all about cueing. So it's pretty basic. We want to cue what we are doing right, but we also want to pre-cue, especially in choreographed classes. So not only cueing what you're doing at that moment and how to do it correctly, but you want to give your auditory participants a heads up about what's coming next, because they will move into that exercise or movement a lot better hearing it beforehand. Our next learning style is visual learning. If you're a visual learner in school or at work, you learn best by looking at pictures and graphs and trends, seeing different colors. That's how you learn best. That's how you retain information. In the fitness setting, this is done by us demonstrating our movements, not only how to do them correctly, but also common ways of doing these moves incorrectly. So we want to demonstrate a perfect squat, but we also may want to demonstrate what a squat looks like when you bring those knees in, because participants who are doing that may not be thinking about that until you show them and then they can see it themselves. You also want to encourage your participants who are visual learners to look at themselves in the mirror while they're doing these movements so that they can check and see what they're doing. Our last learning style is kinesthetic learning. This has to do with you physically doing in order to learn. Now, obviously in group fitness classes and in personal training, our clients and participants are physically doing the exercises. But what this means for our cueing is that we want to cue in a way for these learners so that they can feel how the movement is supposed to feel when it's done correctly. So for a squat, we can say, as you press up through your squat, imagine that you are splitting a piece of paper underneath your heels. That will help them feel the splitting of the paper and do the movement correctly. A lot of kinesthetic cues have to do with imagery, asking participants to imagine something, to imagine feeling something. Which brings me to my next topic, which is internal versus external focus. Now, internal focus is when we look into the body. So this is when we ask participants to think about a specific muscle. So like when we're doing a bicep curl, you tell your participants, squeeze those biceps as you curl the bar. This is what we most commonly cue when we're coaching clients or teaching a group fitness class. Now, external cueing is when we focus on the outcome of that movement, the whole action, looking at the body in its entirety. Now, research has shown that although as personal trainers and group fitness instructors, we have a tendency to use those internal focus cues, people actually learn better when they're given external focus. So what this means is in a squat, instead of saying keep your knees pressing out and squeeze your glutes as you rise up, we say split that piece of paper underneath your heels, or we say rise up and press into the ground like you're trying to push through the floor. Another example is in a chest press. What's sometimes common in a chest press or anything with the bar or plates coming out to the side or in front of us is breaking that wrist. We can say keep the wrist in line with your forearm, or we can say punch those knuckles to the ceiling. Now, saying keep your wrist in line with your forearm is an internal cue, but saying punch your knuckles to the ceiling is an external cue because it focuses on that outcome of the movement. And if we are punching our knuckles to the ceiling, we're not physically saying that they need to keep their wrists in line, but if they are successful in that action of punching the knuckles to the ceiling, by default, their wrists are going to be in line. And then one last example is for an upright row. What's really common is for people to break the wrists and not lead with the elbows. We can say lead with your elbows, or we can say pull your arms up like you're a puppet on a string. So the first one is an internal cue, but that might not register with people. They might not know what that means. But if we say, imagine you're pulling that bar up like you're a puppet on a string, you think, okay, my head is up. That means my chest is up. And then you're thinking, my elbows are also being pulled up by a string, which produces the movement that we want. So this is just an example, the beginning of what I want to get into with my proposal. I hope you found it helpful. I definitely have found researching this really helpful, and it has definitely changed my group fitness classes and how I coach participants. So thank you, and have a great day.